Keir Starmer stands at the helm of the Labour Party in the UK, but if the recent political developments are anything to go by, it's hard to see what exactly he's accomplished beyond offering tepid responses to global crises and seeking to please the establishment. It is staggering how, in the face of a deteriorating international order, Starmer appears to be walking a political tightrope with no substance or vision of his own. When Donald Trump takes to Fox News to declare that Starmer has done nothing in relation to the Ukraine crisis, it isn't just a criticism from a former US president, it's an indictment of Starmer's leadership and his inability to rise to the occasion. The sheer absence of bold ideas and direction from the UK's political left should alarm every person who still believes that political leadership is about more than simply avoiding controversy and playing safe. When a foreign leader, let alone Trump, the same figure whom many British politicians claim to oppose, criticizes you with pointed remarks about your lack of action in a time of crisis, it's more than just a personal critique. It's a reflection of deep dissatisfaction with the political direction you're charting. The tragic reality is that Starmer is playing the game of political diplomacy like a passive observer, instead of driving an agenda. The current situation in Ukraine demands nothing short of strategic leadership and clarity in vision, yet Starmer is content to flounder in the current political environment, leaving little for the electorate to latch onto. At this moment, we cannot afford leadership that sits idly by as the world faces monumental challenges. In the context of the Ukraine conflict, it is imperative that global leaders, including those in the UK, make meaningful contributions toward a resolution. Starmer's support for President Zelensky, wrapped in vague platitudes, is precisely the kind of weak-kneed response that has become all too familiar in the West. While the Prime Minister of the UK speaks of supporting Zelensky as Ukraine's democratically elected leader, he has failed to take any concrete steps to push for a real peace process or leverage any international influence in a meaningful way. Starmer, too, has done little more than play lip service to Ukraine's cause, caught in the trap of diplomatic inaction. Trump, despite his controversies, has a very clear position on the Ukraine crisis, no matter how unorthodox his approach may be. He speaks with clarity. He calls out the lack of leverage in Zelensky's position and criticizes the war machine that has consumed Ukraine, even as figures like Elon Musk echo similar sentiments about the situation's underlying corruption. That doesn't mean these views are automatically right or devoid of flaws, but it's undeniable that Trump is willing to speak directly, even when it is uncomfortable or politically dangerous. The same cannot be said of Starmer. He sits back and delivers tired responses, always careful not to alienate any potential voter or political ally. But what does that accomplish? Certainly not leadership. Let's not be deluded by Starmer's carefully crafted political persona. His supposed moderation does not embody the strength needed in times of geopolitical crisis. His unwillingness to take a stand, to either support or challenge the United States leadership or to push back against Russia's aggression, leaves the UK in a limbo where no one can discern what direction he will take. It's like watching a politician who is too afraid to stand for anything other than what's safe or acceptable. In a world where bold, decisive action is needed, Starmer's political strategy is nothing more than a slow dance of mediocrity. The Ukraine conflict has exposed a fundamental truth about leadership. Either you take bold steps to change the course of events, or you sit and let the world pass you by. In this instance, it's clear that Starmer has chosen to sit back. While he speaks of supporting efforts for peace, the truth is that Europe is teetering on the edge of a new Cold War, and Starmer's calls for unity are futile if they don't include actionable policy shifts. The notion that a political leader can simply stand behind vague rhetoric and still claim to offer solutions is laughable. It's a sad commentary on the state of British politics when the Labour leader appears to be out of his depth on a matter as critical as Ukraine, choosing the path of appeasement and delay over the urgency required in such a volatile situation. To be blunt, Starmer's inability to provide strong leadership is not just disappointing, it's irresponsible. The UK needs a leader who will not shy away from confronting global realities and pressing for outcomes that protect British interests while working towards a stable, peaceful international order. Instead, we have a leader more concerned with the politics of optics than the substance of diplomacy. In the face of rising tensions, economic challenges, and global instability, Starmer's failure to distinguish himself from the establishment makes it all the more likely that he will squander any opportunity to lead with the vision, determination, and courage that this moment demands. This isn't just a problem for Starmer, it's a problem for the entire Labour Party, which risks becoming irrelevant if it continues to offer the world nothing but a soft, toothless opposition that refuses to challenge the status quo. Donald Trump may be a controversial figure, but at least he recognizes the importance of strong, direct action. As for Starmer, if he continues down this path, the only thing he'll have done is to cede ground to those who have no intention of playing politics by anyone else's rules. And that, in the long run, will prove to be his most significant failure.